Hey, everybody. We
get up all in it.
We normally have some of our fans or famous voice actors do an intro, but we just wanted to record a special one for this just to say thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It is because of people like Ryan Christianick, Lame Dog Dad, Kip the Killer Killmeister, Philly, Judge Tempest, and all of the other supporters. It's because of people like you that we're able not to just lose money talking about Albert Wesker or Mortal Kombat and Shu Hao as often as we do. It is because of our fans and supporters. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for writing reviews. We appreciate all of you.
We love you. Coffin, or putting it in the coffin with you. Yes. And just like he's just like, God bless you.
And then in your ear he's like, would you like a subscription to Game
5 stars, please.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Raw Dogs. This is technically going to be part 5 of the Final Fantasy VII saga for us, but part 2 of the FF7 remake discussion, where we will continue to discuss the rest of the game, and then we'll speculate on maybe what's coming, and how we'll never touch the mobile games. Probably.
I might touch the weird Fortnite-style thing they're trying to do.
First Soldier?
Just to fucking try it out.
I have issues with that.
I think it looks dumb.
Not with you playing it. You should play it, but...
No, it's fine. I don't normally touch.
Someone has to play it, and it's you.
I encourage someone to play it, and if you're willing to fall on that sword, please.
So we can tell you.
So, it's another, so we can make another 3-hour episode.
Imagine how tough it would be to fall on Sephiroth's sword.
I mean...
You'd have to find the right angle.
I'll slip and slide right into the fucking sword.
That's amazing. How'd he do that? I'm, of course, Brad, one of your hosts here at Raw Dogs. Across from me is the beautiful man you've come to know as...
A lot of things. Dylan, what are my nicknames? The Quinine Cowboy, the Juniper Jester, the oh my god, the Tonic Terrorizer.
Oh god.
What?
These are all my new nicknames.
Okay.
I've been coming up with them on the side.
Good. Stick to drawing.
Okay.
I know he's a tip-top titillator.
To my left and Brad's right, we have...
Hi, my name's Tom. I am I podcast with these yahoos.
Yeah. And Tom is a regular type gamer who did play FF7 Remake, and he's surrounded by people who probably care too much about it.
A little bit.
Bunch of weebs.
Audience, I'm counting on you to keep me safe through these discussions.
You turned the key, Tom.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Vroom, vroom.
Did you listen to part 1?
I wanted a second dance.
Oh my gosh.
That has to be a tattoo for you. We
No,
can get
it
it
does
on
not.
your arm.
You turned the key.
So
We'll pay for it. We'll pay for it.
I
I'll
would
pay for that tattoo.
I'd fucking pay for it.
And it's got Roche's mullet, but like...
people, if for some reason
I'll
you're just
design
listening to part 2, did not listen to part 1, I played the original Final Fantasy VII once, and I played Final Fantasy VII Remake once when it came out, and I felt that was good enough. And I'm surrounded by people who just kept going deeper and deeper. So
Let's talk to one of the deepest over here.
the deepest.
The deepest?
Yep.
That's fair.
You know who you are.
I don't actually think I'm the deepest, but I do love this game series. I do love Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy VII and the entire franchise that goes along with it.
Is 7 your favorite?
That is a difficult
I mean, just
question.
7 altogether, like remake, original game.
I think, honestly, if I were to take a main game, I would say 9 is probably my favorite.
That's the right answer. That is the right answer.
That's
I
the
like
one
this
that
guy.
is Dogcast agreed upon.
I like, yeah.
Do you remember when we all had to vote and we were just like 9?
I didn't know that.
VV for
that
life.
was
Yep. So you're
BB for fucking life.
that was just it. I felt that story in my soul. I do love the eclectic totality of Final Fantasy VII, and I love how much more work has gone into it. My name is Nick, by the way, guys.
Hey, Nick, how's it going?
I forgot to introduce myself. Sorry, I get too into talking about video games. That's the thing that happens with me.
It's all right.
Anyways, continuing on.
Hey, you started the ignition, buddy.
I turned the key.
You turned the key here.
Oh man, R. Kelly's gonna come for fucking copyright.
Oh no, he can't. He's in like fucking prison. I dare him, that fucking pedophile weirdo.
Actually, if we get a C&D from R. Kelly, I'm just going to be happy.
Yes.
Thank you to our executive producers, Brian Ward, Tyler Keller, Rai, the Moogle guy, and Killer Kip, the Chocobo. We're changing from Cactar for this one.
Okay.
The
All right.
Chocobo Master.
That's fair enough too.
Did we say Kupo Kip? Or is that
Kupo Kip, the Kill... Oh, shoot, there's so many good ones there.
sorry.
It's okay, Kupo. We're going to move forward, Kupo, and start this
Kupo.
discussion, Kupo.
Kupo.
So when we left off, we were finishing an interesting part of the game called Chapter 4, and we're moving on to a less interesting part of the game called Chapters 5 and 6. So, yeah, this was pretty brutal. I didn't mind 5 as much as 6. 5 was where you have to jump off the train, and then since you jump off the train, you have to take the real fucking long way to get to the reactor you want to blow up.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That is so.
Oh
dumb.
yeah, through the junkyard.
No,
Well, this one, you have
is-
the train tracks, and then you have to go to a certain part, like where they've been infested with bugs.
This looks like a really unpopular opinion, but I really liked this part of the game because I got to play with my favorite 3 characters.
I guess.
This was when my game opened up to me.
Okay,
See,
I do remember this part. Yes.
5 was better paced. There are still things that are kind of more happening. I remember when you reunite with Barrett was the first time that he sings the victory song. And I'm like, well, that was great. You learn about Stamp the dog, which is at least something happening,
Yeah.
like for the characters to talk
It's also
about.
proof that like the parallel universe stuff.
Yeah. Stamp's a good dog, but I hate him because he's corporate imagery, but he's a good dog.
But he's a
So
good boy.
Spuds McKenzie.
this takes place in like nondescript, like train tunnels, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
This area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
yeah.
the weird.
This is
curving-
follow
curving
the red
tunnel.
light.
Yes, and then you have oncoming train traffic every once in a while. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice to have the 3 characters. This is when you're fighting with them for the first time, which is
And
great.
that was when I really felt like the combat system like clicked in my head.
Yeah,
because I really started to like rotate through characters constantly.
Yeah.
Which that's how you need to play this game. Do not play a single character. You are playing a party. You are playing a JRPG. Please remember this. Your game is meant to be played as a party, not a single character.
And they won't play themselves.
They won't.
And I don't know. They do have a slower ATB gauge. So if I am trying to like a main as one person, I'm not too as concerned that they're not doing anything because I expect to do most of the work. But then you see someone's gauge pops up, I just hold the trigger down and then I just choose a command for them and then jump back.
Yep.
But there is like the flow you're talking about where you're jumping character to character because if you don't keep them busy, they get kind of bored.
They're not doing.
There's some boss battles where if you're not flipping through them constantly, you are non-survivable even on normal. That's one of the things we were talking about earlier. The boss battles in these games can get pretty fucking brutal.
I think at the end of this segment, the crab warden.
Yep.
I'm good at names.
It looked like we fought a scorpion the other time. What that look like?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Was it a crab?
No, that fight I lost over and over and over until I figured out that like, oh, this game requires me to use all 3 of my characters, which was a revelation. I know it sounds dumb, but it was definitely a learning curve where I finally figured out like, oh, and then it turned real satisfying. Like that was when the fighting mechanic of the game turned into like a playable loop for me.
Yeah. Instead of hitting things with Cloud and then occasionally you need a long range person with Barrett.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which that doesn't sound as fun. And I personally never tried classic mode. I know that they're going to be patching in normal difficulty for classic mode, and I know that they're trying to make it even more playable for like the part 2, which will be coming eventually. But
I guess
I don't think many people
I tried it for a second just to see what it was, and it was
It
didn't lend itself well.
It's a tacked on feature.
It's not what it's designed to be. They were so worried. Some people like they won't play it.
They tacked on after there was literal fan feedback of
I won't play this if it's not a turn-based JRPG, which I'm sorry, but is silly. Please grow with your games. Like,
But meanwhile, please just use the same music because we need that, and Tifa should be there. Just make her more realistic looking.
there are things that we love. More realistic looking, as in just like better physics, or what are we?
Just more physics.
More than 4 polygons.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
Yeah.
They call them pointies for
Or
a reason.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to everyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, like
So this is the dark time. This is the a true dark time in the game.
speaking of dark time, chapter 6 is called Light the Way, which is also the darkest time.
That is the darkest time. Yep. As mentioned in episode 1, this was the part of the game where I was like, okay, this.
Yeah.
They don't.
You are obviously trying to space
starts
things
to
out
drag.
and make
You can-
this prolong it. You know,
They
Press
they
the
stretched it
button.
literally as far as they could. Like
Honestly.
this is the tipping point. The only thing that I like in this chapter is the concept of like the artificial suns, which I'm like that can be a throwaway line. That's all I need there.
yeah, that's all you need. Yeah,
That part's cool. I like the nature of going underneath the plates from a conceptual point of view.
Yeah.
It sounds fucking awesome.
I want to see what that looks like. Absolutely.
But
So samey.
the
4
way
hours of it.
the way that they designed this place, it's like you would need a map just to figure out where you were. No engineer on the face of the planet, not even in a fake universe, would actually build a series of pulley pulley carts and like
Hey Ted,
buttons.
so Ted, I noticed you've added like a bunch of stairways and like extra nothings. Like
Right.
why did you do that? There's
This
no
one's
reason.
on this level. This one's on this level.
Why
One
make an
just goes to a dead end.
Just make sure you don't drop your materia.
like we straight up. Why would we build an elevator if we could just build a piece of wood across there?
Exactly. We built this long steel bridge to put a treasure chest at the end of it.
So, some like there are some real lapses in logic, and this chapter shows a lot of them.
This is one of like 3 chapters that does this. That
Yeah.
like
It's not just this one.
unforgivably.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Where they are just reaching for something just to stretch.
There
stretch
there
things
are
out.
no NPCs, there are no side quests. It is just a dungeon crawl that if any of you are RPG players, we all know we will search every corner of every
They make it hard
everything.
in this one.
It was most annoying
And
the
it
first
made it
time.
tough. Like,
Yeah,
and unpleasant. Like genuinely, it made it unpleasant to search down
Yeah.
every chest.
And it wasn't even like a aesthetically pleasing environment. It
No.
was just blah. Outside of
which-
like the actual lights.
it so could have been.
The characters make multiple references, like, "Oh right, so we have to get back over to this section over there. That's with the D on it." And I just love talking in Barrett's voice. That's my inner monologue for the rest of my life now.
Listen,
do it all the
if
time,
you
yeah.
if you start giving me like A plus B equals C, like even like beyond that, like algebraic equations to get something done within the environment, like a puzzle, like unless it there's
Yeah.
nothing entertaining about that. That's fucking real life. That's like filling out forms.
Well, I talked
it's
to
like it's like doing it's as boring as doing taxes.
I talked to Dom about this the other night because he's like, I'm just so scared I'm going to miss materia because I was in that one like spot with
will.
all the stairways or whatever, and I almost missed some summon materia. I'm like, yeah. Well, that was also the most samey looking spot, and thankfully you heard Barrett singing his song and you found the treasure. But at the end of this little section, you run into Biggs, who I guess just showed up early and played in his Game Boy and waited for you to show up, but he gives you grappling guns.
Yeah, it's just like there was a part of me that was
That we
just like,
don't use for.
Actually, they come back later and in a funny way. But
they do, but also I'm like, why don't we have these to begin with? Like,
did you have to come early to give us handheld grappling guns?
How did we not have like 5 of these things?
Right.
They're so useful.
Well, later on in the game, you have to go through a whole mission, like how are we going to climb up the wall to get up there to save Aerith, and you have to go with a dude in the sewers who gives you grappling guns. I'm like, we have them.
Leslie, everyone's favorite new character?
Well, Leslie Kyle is, of course, not a new character. He was in The Kids Are All Right. He was with Evan and Kyrie. He's in the Detective Agency. Sorry. Sorry. Thought you read the book.
click.
Oh, pass it over here.
You started the ignition.
Fucking deer hunter.
You turn the key.
You started the ignition, Dylan.
But also, I gotta say, like, just the way they tack things on in this game, it's just like it's first of all,
Like this whole middle part, just skip it.
it is so masturbatory. That is maybe the best way for me to describe it. It's just like you're finally doing it. You're playing some of your favorite memories. Congratulations. Hope you fucking love it. Do you love it? Do you fucking love it? Do you enjoy it?
You like scorpions, you like crabs.
Do you want to spend all your time getting rid of like certain parts of the airbuster so he can't do some attacks and can't do other things?
I think at this point we lost a lot of goodwill. If they were to skip all of Chapter 6 with the lighting stuff, and even most of Chapter 5, and they just went right into, all right, we're at the reactor, and we can dismantle some of the airbuster, I think the pacing would have been better. But since we've been getting jerked around for a while, it's like, you're just mashing it. We just need to get this over with.
And do you know what I did with the airbuster the first time through?
I don't know.
I did not take pieces out of the airbuster. I took all of the money.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
It was a fun fight.
Very confident.
I mean, honestly, though,
bastard.
I didn't realize what I was taking out. They're like, oh, this is like a thing that can do this. I'm kind of just like, man, I don't fucking
I wonder
care.
if
I know I can beat it anyway.
Well, and
Speaking to any fans that haven't played yet, take the BB canisters out. Do not let him shoot the Big Buster, or whatever the hell they're called.
Oh, I always take the speed out.
So the BBs are the worst.
I think I kind of just took things out at random, to be honest.
So there are some cool things in this chapter. Once you get to the reactor, you set up the bomb and you're about to climb up the ladder, but it turns out, you know, they've been watching you, they've been teasing this, like Heidegger and the president are working on something, and there's a TV crew there even, and right now there's like a broadcast like, we have active footage of the terrorists and we're going to stop them, and they're going to have a giant like public execution with their airbuster, and Barrett almost immediately just like jumps all over the shit and like grabs the camera and he's just like giving monologues.
Which is what exactly what he would do.
Yeah, so on character.
Yeah. And I like that Heidegger and Shinra are a hologram. Like
rather than like president just like walking out of the reactor like, I notice you're a bunch of terrorists. It's like, well, you probably just stay up in your room.
Yeah, because like, how did Barrett just not unload all of the bullets? Just all of them.
Yeah. That would be his first instinct. Like when Han Solo sees Darth Vader, he doesn't think once, just shoots.
When Han Solo sees Greedo, he shoots.
Yeah.
Well,
Does he?
Don't you be that person right now.
He's a Lucas defender.
I actually kind of am. I think those new movies are just trash.
They are.
Except for Last Jedi.
They tell Cloud to dance for the camera. They tell Cloud to dance for the camera, and he says, I don't dance.
That's not true.
Oh, he dances.
Not true.
You turn the key, buddy.
You just stay tuned for that.
Heidegger tells them they're being used to sell war. And honestly, okay, so most of this chapter, though, it is lab, stairway up, stairway up.
No.
Lab,
So
stairway
bad.
up, stairway up. And it is obnoxious.
Mini game to open a secret side area.
I mean, I just love that they took that silly thing from the original. They're like, hit him at the same time.
Hey,
I'll do it. No, Tifa's better at counting. Like, does it matter? Just hit the fucking button at the same time.
If I'm playing a game and I can feel myself if I'm like in the middle of combat.
But I love the commitment to the bit. I do. I really love the commitment to the bit.
They do commit.
Yes. Like
the only time it was ever funny is when you're climbing up the stairs to Shinra Tower. That is a funny
More stairs.
That
Why
is a
did
funny
we take
bit.
the stairs?
That is a funny ass bit.
And it goes on.
Yes, and
And it goes on.
It's the ladder in
Exactly.
Metal Gear
You take
Solid
every
3.
single stair.
It's like hit the punchline and then let's fast forward 30 minutes later. But anyways.
Yeah, no,
No, that's what
You
the
walk up
elevator's
every
for.
listen, if I'm playing a game and I can feel myself reaching for my phone to just look at like Instagram or something, you kind of done fucked. Sorry.
This chapter was rough. I mean, these past 3 chapters, haven't been great. It was a
They're the filler arc of an anime.
It was a 2.5, 3 hour slog that could have been a really tight hour-long dungeon.
Where's the tournament? Like,
Then, of course, Cloud somehow falls from the upper plate all the way down. There is a bit where he like shoots the grappling gun, but luckily he falls into the flower bed, which has the power of Aerith's healing flowers.
and this gets back to where the game starts to hit the vibe right again. I
Yes.
will say.
Until the whispers show up.
The music, the introduction of Aerith as a true character, I loved this. It was so good. And yes, I do agree with you. As the whispers started to be introduced, it upended everything.
Yeah.
It didn't need to. It didn't need to. It's not even that it upended it. It was literally just like when one of the things Tetsuya Nomura does is he'll just be like, but then there was a stronger thing, and then it shows up, and it's been
and
there
Mickey
all
is
along.
all of a sudden there.
Yes, exactly. And it's literally just like I need
Reno!
something. It is the dumbest form of writing to just be like, I need something to happen, but I can't use the tools already in my toolkit. I just got to be like, yeah, but they get flung away.
But that's what you think's happening, but really it's like further developing the concept of the whispers as a plot device and needing to keep things strictly following the narrative. I was with you because I was like, I don't want these fucking things in the game right now, but it wasn't.
I didn't.
After the end, I was like fully on board with the concept, but I was very against it up until the end.
Right.
So is this where Cloud falls into the church?
Yes.
And
Another
You
nostalgia spike.
get the
Big
Aerith
big spike.
theme, which the remastered Aerith theme is
Yeah.
just
Is that the same as Water? Is that her theme?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
but it's like a goth techno metal screamo version of it.
Don't you turn that key.
Sorry, I'm taking the key out of the ignition on that one. I am putting the key away.
Here I have now swallowed the key.
But yeah, Reno shows up and you have another duel, like another boss duel with him. After you beat him, though, Cloud just straight up goes up to kill Reno, which it seems aggressive, but also he's kind of killed pretty much everything he's ran into at this point. But the wizard,
I didn't
course
think it was
for
that
him.
crazy. He's not like chivalrous.
well, he was going to kill Johnny earlier. Like he intended to kill Johnny earlier in front of Tifa, and Tifa's like, "You're kind of scary. Like you shouldn't just do that." Yeah. But it's like you kill a lot of people.
He's hardened by war.
And I don't know, the whispers stop that from happening, and then you have this whole running away, which is affected by the
beams.
whispers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and instead of knocking barrels off, you're doing monkey bars.
Thank fuck. Every time I've ever played Final Fantasy VII, that barrel sequence is so unintelligible and unintuitive. Like if someone didn't tell you, you wouldn't know what to fucking do. But also, I found the climbing to be. I'm like, okay. Is
The
this like
monkey
a-
bars was not great.
Is that a good substitute?
There's not a single good monkey bars sequence in this game.
I would have much preferred just like an outright combat sequence.
I would have
or
just.
something
I would have
like
rather
that.
kept fighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have rather fought every single time.
You get out of the church, though, and Aerith accidentally lets out a lot of things out. Like she knows Cloud's a merc. She's kind of spoiling that she's aware of a lot of things, but she kind of just covers it up.
Yeah.
But she's definitely cognizant of what's going on.
She is very aware of the fact that Cloud is faking all of his shit.
Yeah.
And,
She
and
talks to
plays
him,
into it.
She talks to him like she's known him for a while.
Yeah.
Do you think that like that's for later? That's theories. Yeah.
I mean, I feel
I
like
guess
this
that'd
is
be
the
the time.
correct time to start talking theories on these
So
things.
one of the Sephiroths is clearly the dead Sephiroth that Cloud kills both in Advent Children and in the original game. One is just like, listen, you've beaten me. Like he's literally like, at the
I'll
end of the
never
game, he's
be
like,
a memory.
Yeah, I'll never be a memory. But he's also like acknowledging. He's like, you've beaten me like twice already. This is the only way that things can kind of go and become something different. I don't want to be bound by fate. You clearly never want to be bound by fate. What if Aerith gets like a past life kind of regression kind of thing.
Well, I think the only way that Sephiroth can really sell that we need to alter fate and change things to Cloud is kind of pushing the narrative of Aerith passing, which he gets a flash right before he talks to Aerith of the scene of her dying. So maybe he's trying to convince Cloud something has to change, so he gets another opportunity. Sephiroth gets another opportunity to survive, possibly. Or maybe it's the Kingdom Hearts 2 version of Sephiroth, and he's just trying to run away from Mickey. Like, we just don't know yet, dude. We don't even know.
No.
And I feel like Roche might be involved with Donald.
No. I don't.
You stop, Sephiroth.
You turn the key, Donald. It's a gummy ship. So you run around on some rooftops with Aerith. You eventually make it to the Sector 5 slums and side quest section number 2.
Yeah.
Most the getting to the slums I found to be pretty annoying. That like
Once you get to Wall Market.
well, once you get to the slums,
All
it's
of the stuff with
okay.
Aerith, essentially,
yeah.
just Aerith, I found to be just like, when am I going to see like other people? Like, I'm sorry, I was never the biggest like Aerith fan, so
I think they did a lot of good work with her in this, but I'm so much in Camp Tifa that whenever Aerith's got a moment like give me a high five, I'm like, what if Tifa finds out?
But I feel like
I'm not high-fiving
cheating
other
right
girls.
now.
Exactly. We're just friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what they did with Aerith's character because I do agree with you that they made her a very innocent character in the original.
I actually didn't see that in the original, though. I saw her as like headstrong and kind of like forceful, but she wasn't so. I don't know. She's got a real like her manic pixie dream girl vibe is so off the charts in this game that I'm kind of just like, I don't think that was her original characterization at all. Like maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I was just interpreting it the way I wanted to.
We're also talking about a character that had no voiced lines.
Exactly.
So
there-
interpretation is the name of the game here.
So
She is very headstrong, kind of in the original. She's like, I need a date. I want you to be my bodyguard. She does talk back to the Turks, who are like evil government dudes who just show up at your house, and she's just
CIA.
She talks at a level, but she's also very familiar with them. But
Right.
yeah, she's
So
pretty headstrong.
she's just always been like a confident person, but I love the fact that the way that she's portrayed in the game now is that like, oh yeah, sure. Also, fuck you. Like with a smile, like just still. Oh, that must have been a new breed of monster. Why? Because they went
Right.
after the weaker race. Like, I love that. That killed me. Like in the moment,
Yeah.
I laughed out loud, which I don't do for a lot of things.
I have a feeling you were probably ear to ear grinning for most of this game.
Yeah. No, I
was.
Yeah. There were too many pulls. There were too many fan winks and stuff like that. And I will give this game all of the credit that it is due for paying respect to its fans while still trying to make something that could be tolerable to newcomers.
You play Whack-A-Box, you see Chadley, you fight Rude.
Chadley's dumb Chadley.
You see Elmira.
The rude fight is amazing. I love when you break his glasses and he just busts out a new pair.
Part is so sick.
It's
That is
just
pretty
the
good.
best. Sorry.
Rude has always been my preferred Turk. Reno's too much kind of like a whiny baby.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like Reno a lot. Though.
Sung is kind of.
He's a cool boy.
He's a cool boy, but he seems like a little underdeveloped. Other than he just kind of is really good at
He's a
manipulating.
cool boy.
I'm wondering if they give Elena more to do in this one.
Yeah, she'll be
one.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they'll give her some skimpy outfits like Scarlet.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Oh, the crawling boy. Never mind. That comes later.
There's going to be a whole beach scene in this because of Costa del
Oh,
Sol.
Hojo is going to be wearing
And
a
it's gonna
thong.
be-
I hope.
It's going to be fucking gratuitous, and
hammock
everyone's going to have a
everybody.
problem with it because
not, though,
it's
like,
going to happen. Listen, this
These
is,
shorts are too small.
you can see my whole hog.
I don't know. Like I'm a person.
I can see Red's dick.
and even then, I'm like, Can we not do a beach scene?
No,
'Cause,
Hojo's got to be at the
Episode in
beach.
every anime.
No, Hojo's got to be at the beach because he's there at Costa del Sol and just be like, I'm on vacation. I'm not talking to you. Like, I need to see Hojo at the beach.
yeah, but what if my daughter fucked that dog?
Are you talking about Red?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's a thing that he said in this game.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Speaking of weird things, Moogie runs a Moogle Emporium and you whack a box.
Okay, I like the Moogle kid. I found that kind of charming.
It's kind of charming.
I found it fun. I liked the Moogle medals as a form of side currency. I thought that was pretty important. I think earning those Moogle medals actually felt like it was side content for those who really gave a shit, and I thought that actually worked.
Yeah.
because guild can be this general kind of thing, but if you really want the shit, you gotta search for it. Some people might be fine with just having the Buster Sword. That's it.
Right.
You're introduced to the Angel of the Slums, Mirie, I want to say is her name.
Oh yeah, which she doesn't reveal she is.
Curie?
No,
Homeless
Kyrie's
lady?
grandma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
The old broad.
Brenda Fricker.
Brenda Frick.
The old broad.
She's cool, but that's most of what happens there. Elmira is Aerith's mom. She says, you need to leave tonight. Like, you're not welcome here.
You have to do a horrible little mini game.
Promise
And
me.
they put
yeah.
a bucket directly in front of your
Well,
feet.
do you think Aerith, before she went to bed, like, that cloud's going to be a
I
dick?
actually think that,
And
yeah.
I mean, it had to be her just like, bucket there. We're going to knock this garbage over. And just like, because I was like, who did this? Who has three
she
different
was-
garbage
I
cans and
bet
two
you-
buckets on
Yeah.
the floor?
I bet you
Right.
$1 million she was sleeping by the door, like just like this.
She knew something was up. She
that
still
was like
beats you there.
2 minutes ago, and then
Yeah.
she went to bed.
She's a smart lady. What are you gonna do?
Well, then there's this really great section with arms, and you get to move the metal arms around and grab crates.
This
I hate it.
shit.
I hate it so much.
But there was a metal arm in one shot of a map in the original game. We need to have a section.
Boo.
There needs to be a section where you have to solve the puzzle. Allie, she actually, when she was doing this section, she was like,
not even
She
a
literally
puzzle.
turns to me and she's like, there's like, first of all, there's like just a sequence. It's not even a puzzle. There's no skill.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, duh. Like this is more examples of just like, remember this? Do you like it? Do you like it?
So we're moving metal. What are we moving?
You're
We're
controlling
talking
the
about
arms,
arm that picks
The
up
box
a
cars.
container.
Yeah,
Yep.
containers and boxcars.
and then picks up Aerith and sets her on containers.
It's
Oh, yes.
And then she drops ladders.
Yep.
and you
What a
need to
great
make
time.
sure to do the second one right so that you can get the MP up materia.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
We do meet some named Corneo lackeys of Beck, Burke, and Butch. I actually found these guys to be kind of funny. There was not the greatest dialogue, but there was one where it's like, "You're getting your due recompense," and the guy's like, "Recompense." There was like it was like Dumb, Dumber, and Dumbest.
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly, yeah.
But
Yeah,
this,
no, they were-
the song that plays after they show up is one of my favorite bangers on the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
There was some really good music in this section, but you essentially get through it. You get to Evergreen Park, which is another iconic scene where you sit on top of the slide with Aerith.
This is where you can go down the slide.
Yes.
It's the best.
I love that part.
The fact that they let you actually use the slide too. Thank you, Square.
I guess.
But you see,
I no, honestly, for
felt
me,
that. Okay.
I felt it.
Okay.
I did because I am a child.
well, and you can run across the tires too. Like they didn't have to put that in there, but I ran across the tires when I did it.
Yeah. There was I remember this part. I think I took a picture of it. But anyways,
Tom, you're just really attracted to the character that the slide looks like. You're just like, ooh, that's
no, in the corner,
Moogie.
in the corner of the playground, there's like this pedestal that has this little lean-to building.
Oh,
like
you're
a
right,
metal
yeah.
building, and it looks exactly like the shack that Tommy Wiseau walks out of in the room. And I literally thought it was a callback to that.
Oh, hi, Cloud.
Did not
Yes,
hit
exactly.
that woman.
I did not hit that moogle. I did not.
Check out the screenshot of this thing and put it next to the actual movie. You're like, holy shit.
That might have been like a designer thing that they might have thrown in.
Right,
there.
yeah.
You never know.
One of the absolute highlights, I think, of the entire game happens here. You see Tifa getting taken in a chocobo cart, and she's wearing that wonderful dress you told her to wear. But she said she's going for an audition with Don Corneo, and then you get to enter Wall Market, which Yeah, I think it's one of the most lavishly best designed sections, at least open city sections of the game.
I think
one of the
Square
best looking
knew that they needed to nail this. If they were gonna do it and remake it, they needed to nail it.
Well, and this is a very tricky thing to do in today's society, where it's gender norms and women's rights. There's a lot of things that, prostitution. There's a lot of tricky things that they have to get right, but they also can't shy away from. Yeah. And what they did with Honeybee Inn, instead of making it just kind of a really gross prostitution place, instead they made it into almost
hot burlesque.
It's like a Cabernet.
I get a Mass Effect 2, where you have to see that one Asari lady who's really tough to see.
Morathi?
Yeah.
Or Morathi? Or...
no, it's her name. She runs.
She
runs the shit in the city.
Yeah.
Whatever. It just
Afterlife.
There was that vibe. There was that vibe that it was not just that it was a place for transformation and burlesque and celebration.
No, it was a place of beauty.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose of that place.
Yeah, they walked the line pretty well here. From
Some
97 to
some of it's still
now.
implied. Some of it's still implied, but
Yeah.
it's also it was a very positive view of what I would call sex work.
Yeah.
It was all willing and voluntary, and
Amsterdam.
they kind of had control. Yeah, the women characters never felt like they were not in control of what they were doing at any given time.
You see Miss Folia from the Leaf House. If you finished the stuff earlier, she's there, the teacher. She's like, I just like to dance, and you can't talk about this to the kids.
Yeah, that's kind of hot though.
And I was like,
I was. Yep.
It was like in Varsity
me
Blues. Fucking 10. Miss Foley's a fucking 10. That's a weird reference right there.
No Vanderbeek.
All right, I'm going to I tried to find all of the named bars and shops and food items. I'm just going to go through some of them here. There's the Magical Materia Shop, Madame M's Massage Parlor, Good Luck Cowgirl Whorehouse. They didn't say whorehouse, I don't think, but
I was gonna say
it was the Good Luck Cowgirl or whatever.
Chocobo House.
Sahara, Offworld Bar, Potion Juice, Bar N, Drunkard's Den Karaoke Bar. Sounds
a little
fun.
on the nose.
Go there every night.
Yeah, I have to be drunk.
I would go to all of these bars though.
Yeah.
Honeybee Inn, Big
Bar
Rose
crawl?
Gym, Machine and Gun Weapons Store.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then some of the food that you hear people talking about: deep fried Geisel greens, Alexander ice cream cones, Materia Pops with monster shaped candies in them, and Chocobo Bean Popcorn.
Hold on. So the ice cream.
Chocobo Bean Popcorn?
Yes, they
fuck is
What
that?
the fuck does that
I have
mean?
a very important question for all.
It might be like Chocobo seasoning on a popcorn.
Chocobo seasoning.
It was like chicken seasoning.
crackers?
It's like chicken seasoning, I'd imagine.
Like the spices you use on chicken.
Yeah,
Anybody out there
Like
knows
chicken
that-
and biscuit. You
I,
know?
I like the thoughts of the Materia Pops with monster shaped candies.
I'm gonna need you to go through that bar list one more time because I want to know where we're starting and ending our bar crawl.
Well, Drunkard's Den Karaoke Bar would be a terrible spot to end, but also maybe fantastic.
That's where my
That's a strong end.
We have Sahara,
$75 through.
Offworld Bar.
I'm starting at the Honeybee Inn.
I think Bar N is like a really divey spot.
you
They didn't even.
I start there, absolutely. I want to remember that shit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah.
We go to the Honeybee Inn fairly early because we don't want to get lifetime bans.
Now there's a product that you listed that I really have to talk about for a second. The Alexander ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it because like an ice cream cone can look like the ramparts of a castle, which is what Alexander is?
I can't imagine, but someone's talking about how they desperately want it.
I want to try.
I mean, it's got to be epic. It's Alexander.
How big of an ice cream cone is it? You know,
I mean, he's the holy element summon.
Yeah, it's a goddamn castle.
I wouldn't mind trying
Last time I saw it.
some deep fried Geisel greens sounds good too.
That's true.
I just wonder
actually- yeah.
if it's good enough for your Chocobo, it's good enough for
well,
you.
who knows?
You need to get into the audition. Corneo is the Don, and he auditions 3 ladies every night who are chosen by Madam M, Andrea Rodea, and Chocobo Sam, who is just Sam Elliott.
I love Chocobo Sam.
I was so
Hi there,
annoyed.
Cloud. You like Tifa too, huh? She's pretty fit.
Right.
Okay,
As fit
Chocobo
as my
Sam.
Chocobo.
I have a problem because he asks you to guess like heads or tails, and he flips a coin, and then you make a guess. And he's like, "Well, looks like it's heads," but it's supposed to
Doesn't
be
matter.
It's supposed to be a trick coin. I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, you have to be the one calling it if you know what the coin is. I was very bothered by this. I'm like, is no one else noticing that this doesn't make sense?
They essentially gave you that's technically what, 25% chance then, if we're talking about statistics. Because if there was not even a chance to have a tails, then your chances of picking
pretty
it
sure
were
you
also
can't
in
win
half.
No,
right?
you can't win it.
Am I wrong about statistics?
No, you're but you can't
It's my
win it.
understanding there would be no math.
And no matter what you say, you lose. And I'm like,
In
that's
the
not how trick
programming
coins work.
of the game, you lose.
Well, yeah, I know that, but what I'm saying, like, if I had to deal with this in real life, if it was
a trick
two
coin?
heads, and then that person didn't call it, and then it got flipped, and then it landed on heads, it'd be like, well, you were always you never had no
There
chance
would
of
be
winning.
like two heads then, right? It's a
Right,
trick coin.
but- so it's a trick coin. But if the person who flipped it wasn't calling it, then he's not really tricking you.
No, then it's
He's-
just that you have a 50% chance because it's like, are you going to say heads or tails right if you're the one guessing if it's a trick coin?
You're right. Yeah, that's still technically 50%.
But-
so what's the fucking point?
Well, and then Madam M makes this a comment like, I'm playing with your trick coin anymore. And it's like, if you know.
No, she's playing with your dick
Well,
when she gives you a hand job later.
She's very pretty.
Speaking of the hand job, because she does massage your hand.
She unlocks your power.
Well,
she unlocks your key.
I'm sure. Did you guys get the premium handy?
Yeah, I did. I chose the best one.
I imagine you probably did too.
The
Well,
premium?
it didn't cost that much.
Yeah.
gil-wise.
I spent
The massage?
2,000 gil on it. Yes, I did.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the scene with the cheap handy?
No.
Because it's Cloud like squirming, and she's like, "You're gonna sit down. You're gonna like it."
I should warn you, this technique has certain risks.
Huh?
It's somewhat experimental. You may find it extremely pleasurable and rewarding, or the opposite.
Wait.
Absolutely not. You asked for this. Now take it like a man!
And the music is really aggressive.
it's just domineering?
It's not fun for Cloud. And he comes out and he's like really sore. And she's like, "Yeah, you didn't like that, did you?" And yeah, I mean that's paying for a different experience, maybe, but that's another thing where the scene changes depending on what you choose. You also have the Coliseum, which I think is a really cool addition. I actually really liked this.
The Hell House was amazing.
What an introduction.
Hell House was
Amazing.
Yeah.
The announcers through the entire thing
Koch
are
and Scotch?
fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But for the Hell House, just so good.
I don't remember any of the lines, but I do remember chuckling through the
I
entire
remember.
sequence.
I remember I had equipped the entirely wrong materia for that fight.
that's a tough fight if you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
And it's really
I won the first time. That wasn't the problem, but I was kind of just like, I can manage this, but it's going to take a lot of item juggling.
And then later on, there's a scene with Johnny where he's like ate way too much spicy food and he's like kind of delirious. And you come back later and the guy's like, "You're saying your friends fought a house or something? You fought a house?" It's just
Come
really,
again?
It's really funny.
There's a lot of cool. Like, I honestly wish that the Coliseum would be like an end game thing where you had a ton more challenges.
Yeah.
The Coliseum, I thought I was going to hate because I'm like, what a tacked on idea, and to some degree, I felt that. But at the same time, I also
This was a
spin his sword.
This was
damn
this
it.
was a fun expansion
Yeah.
instead of an extra 2 dungeons.
yeah. This is where I want it because they actually gave a shit about the challenges they were
Yes.
giving you.
Yeah.
They were all kind of unique. It
Yeah.
wasn't just like
The monster
we're gonna-
pairings
here's
aren't
another,
normal. Like, yeah.
Here's
yeah.
another pairing.
You had to
of
think about
random
it.
monsters.
Yep.
Yep.
Like, play it once, fail, then come back to it, re-equipped, and ready for this fight, and it will be an actual, like, thought-provoking battle, which...
Did you guys know that? So depending on the number of side quests you do with Aerith in the Sector 5 slums before, that determines what dress she gets to wear. Now, I'm sure most of us are on
Did
the
all of it.
fairly completionist side, so they saw the scene with Aerith with probably one of the
beautiful red dress.
the big beautiful red dress. Which that scene when you see her for the first time, there's like people
Cloud's
are all
like,
swarming her.
Fireworks.
And Johnny's such a good hype man. He's like, give her some space. He's got like a red carpet he throws out for her. But if you do a couple of side quests, but not all of them, she has a pretty good dress on, and there's still like a fair number of people like, oh, cool, like this is fun. And Johnny's like, hey, she's pretty hot, like hype manning. But to do 0 side quests is actually very tough in Sector 5 slums because one of the side quests is talk to Moggy and buy something. So everyone gets at least one. But if you do no side quests, she pretty much just is like wearing not a potato sack, but it's really not a good dress.
Yeah.
There is a dog and a cat trying to lick her, and they do different music. So instead of like that big bombastic fun Aerith soundtrack, the one where she has the worst dress, it's like an off-key whistle of her tune, and it's so cute. She's like, it's really bad. And Cloud's like, it doesn't matter if you win the audition.
All right, you're up. Come on. You look fine.
Hey,
Aerith, what are you wearing?
The scene is so funny, and I don't think a lot of people see it because everyone's going to do at least a couple side quests.
Everyone's gonna do one.
It's like the main reason gamers are gamers is kind of because everyone's got a little bit of this like
check the boxes, kind of wish like I've got a list in front of me and that list has to be completed. So it's fun that they put all this in there, but first of all, I don't think of this, a lot of RPGs as actual role-playing games. No.
I see them as like stories you're running through with various combat sets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot more interactive narrative experience.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that because if I'm playing something like a Skyrim, though, I feel a lot more like an open-ended, like I'm actually choosing what my character is going to be. Whereas in this, I'm just like, I'm along for the ride, man. I kind of get what Cloud is, yada, yada. But in that, you're not making any like consequential decisions.
It's more of like a choose your own adventure for Cloud.
It really
a
is,
little bit, yeah.
but it's like a boring one where it folds
Turn
you
to
back
page
into
74.
it. Yeah,
Or it's like choose additional adventures.
Yes.
You still got the main narrative.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying.
and I appreciate it a lot, but it's at the same time I'm just like RPG, I guess.
I know we've discussed this previously before, but how much do you hate morality systems then?
Oh, I fucking hate morality systems. I think people should judge you like
You're one of the most
individually.
moral people I know.
That's not true.
I was trying to layer it on hard there.
No.
Lay it on thick.
Moving forward.
You turned the key, Dylan.
Sarcasm.
I want a second dance.
I would argue my honesty about not being moral is the most moral thing I can do.
Hey,
There's
I
going to
can
be
get behind that.
There's going to be a book someday, The Philosophy of the Raw Dogs. It'll be fascinating.
That's one of the first quotes.
We're going to take a quick break here to all get in our fancy dresses for this next scene.
Mine is assless
I wish
chaps.
you could see mine.
Hear from some of the other amazing shows
Me
from
too.
the Greenlit Podcast Network.
And then we're going to talk about the rest of the game.
We're going to talk about the rest of the game.
GPN.
Hey there, this is Jeremy Parrish, and if you're a fan of classic video game soundtracks, or if you just love 20-minute rock epics about war-ready armadillos that battle Catholicism, you should listen to Alexander's Ragtime Band. Join the power trio of myself, Elliot Long, and James Eldred each month as we talk about the most pretentious music of all, progressive rock, right here on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Ray, and this is my friend Alex.
Hi.
And we do a show called No More Whoppers.
Some call it corn, we call it therapy.
We're adults with the virility of men.
Want to hear us read snack food copy and talk about Japanese chips? Too bad!
Join us every month or so on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Oh, it's you two.
It's time, bro. The sauce.
Could it be? Oh, it is! The sauce! The sauce! Whoa! Never thought I'd live to see the day.
It's just sauce. No big deal.
I remember driving around in my car, but like on breaks from work, listening to the fucking song that they do with the honeybee in. Yeah.
He's got a wiggle fit.
That was too much. Too much.
no.
That was too much for me.
They do the not only does Cloud have a cross-dressing scene, but they have a whole sequence where he is on stage dancing, everyone cheering him on.
Yep.
And I don't think
It is, Dancing in Starlight, fucking Final Fantasy.
Please put a clip in of Cloud just breaking it.
I'll put a clip in of
He gets down.
He does.
Man can boogie.
Like 3 separate styles of dance.
I don't think the minigame's good. I
It's
don't.
not good.
Well, I don't like that they changed
No.
the angles and you don't see where it's coming from, so the timing
Well,
can
you don't-
be easy
you
to
don't know-
mix up.
There's no size relation for the prompt in comparison to the hoop it has to move through.
Yeah.
So
The dancing is beautiful.
Yeah.
The music is great. Like that's all good, but like the minigame itself doesn't work for me.
I just wanted to make Aerith clap a lot for me.
Yeah.
that was my goal.
But also seeing Cloud dance
Like
is
going,
one of
"Woo!"
the like few things in my life that has brought me
One of those
genuine true joy.
It was character breaking in the best way.
Yeah,
Cloud did it first because I got to tell you, like Renault is like, I thought you couldn't dance. A soul or a seed always adapts.
Oh, that
No.
game.
Well, okay. So there's this like great sequence where Cloud dances, and then he is turned into, or like they put the makeup on him, they do his hair, and Andrea has a great quote at the end, which he says, "True beauty
Never be afraid.
True beauty is an expression of the heart, a thing without shame to which notions of gender doesn't apply." And I'm like, wow, like
That's kind of sick. Yeah,
that's really good for
It's
a
like real
game.
deep, actually.
I fucking love
That's
that shit.
that is a very beautiful expression in the cross-dressing sequence in a prostitution section of a game from 1997 that has been
After you've
modernized.
just died laughing for the last like 10 minutes, you're hit with like philosophical gold.
Now, this is one of the only reasons I think I would have preferred to have played this game sooner, because this part was clearly talked about on so many different podcasts and stuff I listened to. And I'm okay with being spoiled, but a surprise like that probably would have landed a little bit harder if I just didn't fucking know about it.
I will say, playing it fresh, when I got to that moment, it like they give you a practice scene where you get to dance with your sword for a little bit. And that was like, okay, this is a thing. And then they just put you into this next little segment, and I was laughing so hard that there were tears coming out of my eyes, and then also was moved at the end of it because honestly, I love the quote at the end.
It's very life affirming.
I love the quote as well. If anything, I think that the minigame made me miss some of how great, like, I didn't get to focus on the dancing enough because I was like, I'm a completionist. I just need his fucking earrings as the reward. And I wanted to focus on what was going on, but I think I still...
Did you ever go back and just watch the dance? Because it's amazing.
On my 4th or 5th playthrough, I probably paid enough attention.
I literally watched a YouTube clip of it because I was like, I just wanted to see perfect playthrough, just see the scene as it's meant to be seen. The choreography's fun.
Yeah. It's not the best dance choreography,
but I don't think you can expect a bunch
also
of
it's Cloud.
older Japanese men who spend their entire lives in a studio drawing and programming.
I think it's just the left field nature of it that hits the most.
I think honestly for a lot of people, this is going to mean a lot of things for a lot of people, and seeing something like this in such a Japanese game being so kind of like gender positive and like straightforward, like I think like there are children who grow up with this shit who are going to be like, this is where I realized.
Because they could have, I mean, they could have made the mistake of just making it a joke. They could have just made it a joke, like Cloud's in a dress, and instead everyone's like, Chadley's like, you're pretty hot, and I'm an android, but I feel things for you.
I'm telling you, I've heard from like when I'm out and about, like with Matt, like I would like talk to them like, oh, what are you playing? And I'd be like, well, I'm playing 7 and remake, and I'm like, I'm curious though because someone had recently just told me like Cloud is like the queer like gotta have it, and she's like, oh yeah, Cloud can get fucked. Cloud's got it going on. Like she was like, no, yeah, like he's beautiful. Even with that dumb spiky hair, I'm like, yeah, he's a very feminine man.
Yeah, like I said,
like
100%.
Everyone has a Kinsey scale, you know.
I think for some people, it's literally just put a pretty boy in a dress.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that they
Styles.
might make Tifa a little too dumb sometimes because they
do make her stupid.
You get Gas and Corneo's then in a second, and Tifa's like, "Are you okay?" And she's looking at him. It's literally just Cloud.
Wait, Cloud?
It's like, oh no, it's you. And granted, the voice actor is a great line, like nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
I love. That killed me.
Well, and it's
Probably my most memorable line that I remember from the thing.
I don't want to talk about it. Yes, it's okay.
Like, yeah, moving on. Yes.
And
Very
I
good.
think that mostly the voice acting in the game kind of does nail a lot of those deliveries, and the translation's great. Like to get due recompense as a translation joke over
Yeah.
from whatever the original was. I think there's a lot of good translation.
I've always been a fan of the localization of this game.
Yeah, it's
to the
really
point where I actually thought it was an English first title.
Here you want to know why you also think that is because in a lot of games and a lot of fiction that comes from Japan, they don't give people the permission to fuck with the mouths. So the mouth movements,
Right? No, you have to
I know
match.
that sounds fucking gross.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it that way, but I mean, like literally, even in Advent Children, they had to write the dialogue based on the way the mouth moved.
Well, yeah, and
That's why you get dilly dally, shilly shally.
Yeah.
Yes, and John Bentley confirmed that it was Japanese first, and they still had to match, which blew my mind.
Really?
no,
They had to match?
No, that speaks so much to the talent of the voice actors that then
It's not 100% though, because I was reading that they did create a specific like program algorithm or whatever to take
fuck with the wiring?
Yeah, to
Phonetics
take phonetics and then make the mouths move, because there's a lot of sequences where it doesn't match up perfectly, and I was like, what? But if it's not like a big scene,
Okay.
like a big CG scene, a lot of those little moments, they're just like a program that is phonetically trying to match it up. Don Corneo is perfectly gross.
Hot. Oh,
he
yeah.
has the best. He has the best
sorry.
jiggle physics I have seen in any game ever.
He does.
Straight up, they are the most advanced,
Everything jiggles, yeah.
most supreme.
He'd be
jiggle
great for Dead or Alive
physics.
beach volleyball.
I
Yes.
honestly want him as a DLC character.
Honestly, his design in this is maybe one of my favorite designs because what they take from the polygonal version of him, they're able to like exaggerate like the folds in his face, the shitty haircut,
yeah.
His tattoos.
the gesture, and the way he moves around, and he kind of like has like this like rat like kind
Yeah.
of like movement to him. You're like, wow, they really fucking spent
He
time
looked
on
a
Don
lot.
Corneo.
I mean, he looked like in my mind how my mind's eye had him as fully polygonal.
I'm not gonna lie. The first playthrough that I had, there's a moment where it gives you a timed answer.
Yep.
While he's on his bed.
You're
And I could
mesmerized.
not stop staring at the jiggle physics long enough to answer.
Damn it!
So I just got dropped into
Curse
a hole.
you, jiggle physics.
Chapter 10, Rough Waters. You fight Abzu and run through a sewer. The Abzu fight's
Boring.
cool.
Absu fight's great.
the fight with
The
Abzu
re-
is good.
everything after that is boring.
Yes, the travel through the sewers is stupid. You fight the Sahagins.
Chapter 11, Haunted. Train Graveyard.
Stupid, bad.
I hate that boss fight.
I didn't mind the set piece
It's
of...
almost impossible to read the boss.
I thought the
fight.
original setting
That's it.
up. Yeah,
The
when we
maintenance
first got
was-
to it, I'm like, okay, this is okay, and then it's one of those that just kind of went on, right? I mean,
It went on. There was a boss fight with a ghoul.
And then there's a second boss fight right after.
Well,
who was planning this?
Skip the ghoul, and you can skip some of these like weird flash scenes where Aerith is
his
a
name?
crying
Igor?
child with hide and seek or whatever. That's whatever. But the boss fight, Eligor, is really cool.
Oh,
Cool looking.
Well, because I remember
with the chariot.
He's just Death
the
Chariot.
big-
Yeah.
Death Chariot, yeah.
he's a manifestation of memories and sorrows that linger in the graveyard. If you remember the original game, the only way you can get Aerith's bladed staff is to find
Steal
a
off
rare
of it.
enemy and steal it. So I remember doing that, and that's one thing they do in this game really well is taking enemy designs or weird enemies such as Hell House or Eligor or Swordipede, and they'll take the more unique ones and draw them into like, this is a boss fight.
Sub boss battle.
Or even like a rare fight, which is like the Moth unit, which is
Yeah.
like you only run into a couple, but
Enemies
they're
you remember.
memorable.
Yeah.
Another thing I've always thought about in this world is so ghosts exist, right? So, but then you've got the life stream, and what are ghosts then?
Maleficent.
It's Maleficent from
We'll ask Dan after.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
God, I really, man, why do I find like weird goth chicks so hot? Like
Chapter 12. Fight.
Maleficent.
I mean,
It's,
Hey, you turned the key, dude.
I know.
all right.
Sorry.
You started the ignition.
Oh man.
I'll put a Kingdom Hearts fucking quote in here right now.
Kate Blanchett and Thor Ragnarok. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, yes, but also Chapter 13.
Chapter 12, Fight for Survival. You climb the pillar.
When does it get good again?
Biggs, Wedge, and maybe Jesse all die, but they also don't die.
But they
only
maybe
some of them
die.
die.
Well, and it's so great because Jesse is dying, and
I really wanted to believe we could.
Yeah. You owe me a pizza.
you owe me a pizza.
That's how you. That's
Classic
exactly.
Cloud.
That's actually like good. That's good writing. That's where it's just like, listen, you owe me like a date. Like this is the thing that was supposed to happen. Like I never thought this would occur.
Fight for survival. Aerith goes and saves Marlene and helps some of the people evacuate. Wedge helps as well. Biggs probably dies, but doesn't. Jesse probably dies, and we don't have confirmation either way.
I think she's.
I think she's
dead.
alive.
I think she's dead.
Yeah.
They show if it's implicit. Here's the thing about fiction.
We got her
If
gloves.
you see them actually die, I know. But if you see them die, they're dead.
That's
If you
the thing
don't
about-
see them
that's the
die,
thing about
they're never
fiction.
dead.
Well,
If you don't see them die, they're never dead.
Can we talk about Marvel real quick?
pass.
Saw him die.
You fight Reno and Rude.
Dylan.
I'm sorry, but
I can make the argument separately, though, in modern storytelling compared to what they used to say.
There's a great moment where Reno's about to shoot Tifa with the helicopter, and Rude pulls away because Rude has a crush on Tifa.
Yes, but what a good little addition.
Rude's a good boy, though.
He's like, what happens? Like, oh, I don't know. Which we would all do the same thing. And
Also,
then
Tifa in my playthrough got shot 1 billion times. She was fine.
Sung reveals to the party that Aerith is an ancient. She saves Marlene and agrees to go there. Wedge is protecting his cats from the specters and might be dead. Ketchi falls to his knees and pounds the ground because
Why?
Why? Oh, why?
Why couldn't it just been Reeve doing that?
Where's Moogie?
Yeah.
But you want to know what a better scene that would have been if it were the human Reeve being like, to show you that Reeve actually gave a shit?
Collapsing over like a screen showing it happening.
Yes.
Or something like
He's
that.
like in a full like Moogie suit.
100%.
What if it was revealed that he was in the Moogie suit the whole time under Ketchi?
All crunched up and waddling like R2D2.
No, but like that is
That would have been have been
that's one
such a
of
better
those
choice.
like winks to the fans that did not need to be there because there was a better storytelling outlet.
I've always wanted to see more of Reeve, no matter what. Even when Ketchi was in fucking Final Fantasy VII, I was immediately like, then why doesn't he just get a better robot?
Yeah,
An absolutely spectacular sequence of them ziplining away from the falling pillar.
the falling of Sector 7 is truly impactful too. Like
Yeah.
I feel like we should touch on that just for a second because goddamn, like
That's why I hate Avalanche so much, because they did it.
Fuckers.
no, it to me it really did hit home. And then letting the climb up and having that moment rest for a little bit longer was it was a real like heavy moment where it's like, oh,
And it's like,
those feels that I don't do all that often.
like Reed won't shoot Tifa, but he will kill 50,000 people.
Right. I thought, I did think that was
he'll
well
take
done
a
as
knee
well.
for him though.
There's a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah.
I do think that they could have added some more moral ambiguity to some of these characters.
I mean, it takes like 2 more scenes
It-
of Reeve fighting against it actually happening
Well-
and then being shut down and cut out. That's all that had to happen.
He does get shut down. Like, there are scenes of Reeve begging them, like, can we do something? Can we do at least evacuate? And President Shinra says,
Stay in your lane.
he's like, I'm bored by you right now. This
Yeah.
doesn't matter. These are things that have to happen. Sacrifice.
Well, it's also funny because the fact that Avalanche does get blamed is kind of dumb, considering that Avalanche, for the most part, really just attacks production facilities. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe that this is about like propaganda and stuff. You know,
Purely.
isn't it Scarlet who's like head of propaganda within the Shinra Corporation.
I think it's Heidegger most.
Yeah.
I think it's Heidegger.
It's all of them.
I thought Heidegger was like security.
Because technically Reeve would actually be the one in charge of it because he's civil.
Well, he's urban planning.
He's like urban development.
Yeah.
Scarlett's titties and materia. I think that's her. That's her lane.
She addresses.
That's her next bar name.
She addresses cameras.
Seven titties.
Her titties are way too big in this. They weren't that big in the original, were they?
I like her. I like her movies.
They absolutely were. They were Tifa sized.
I mean, she's got porn star tits like bolted on.
They were Tifa sized.
Oh, they're
way bigger than Tifa's. And I can
things that
prove it.
might get removed. This is one of them. Okay,
this is beautiful thing.
This is an important.
I think this is the weirdest chapter in the game, and it's chapter 13, A Broken World, where you're kind of picking up the pieces, but eventually you follow Wedge's cat down into an underground lab.
Jesus Christ, part.
As someone who's kind of done a lot of the research and played a lot of the games, I was like, okay, this is deep ground shit. This is the underground labs, Dirge of Cerberus stuff. And then I backed away from it for a while, but after seeing what's going on with Yuffie and Intergrade, I think it is almost confirmed that this is some deep ground stuff.
And then you have one of the worst boss fights of the game.
Well, what I loved about this chapter was that it's Barrett's chapter. You control Barrett. You watch Barrett climb ladders with one hand. It's funny.
Most of the time,
but Barrett's unique way of moving through the environment, he can shoot through walls. He shoots like enough through a wall, and the way the wall blows away, I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's a physics engine right there.
Or shooting just random crates off of the wall.
Yeah.
I had to
get those bonus items.
Well, I had to get all of them.
But yes, you fight the failed experiment, which. And the unknown entities, which you can tell that these are enemies that are not original to 1997
they
because
don't even look right.
They don't mesh well with anything.
The aesthetic doesn't work.
These are these weird hanger things.
They kind of just look like here's another example of like bland kind of like humanoid enemy that kind of crawls around and looks like they could be like they're like little Spider-Man characters.
Can I be an asshole and say it looks a whole bunch like a mindless Kingdom Hearts enemy?
Of course, they are technically heartless. The way they swarm,
they're just. Yeah,
You're such an asshole.
I
can't believe you said that.
Dare you?
It's the worst though, because like get your Kingdom Hearts out of my Final Fantasy. Thank you very much.
I don't even remember this part.
Well,
so,
I
remember it only because
it's such a stopgap to the narrative movement of the game, because you have all of this energy to the plate dropping. Let's go to an underground lab that's mostly unrelated. The only thing it kind of contributes to is that Hojo's doing shit or Shinra's bad, which we know.
But like, it stops the torment of the characters that they're going through. And Barrett has one of his best voice lines after the plate drop, where
Are you some sort of experiment?
Oh no! I'm talking. I'm talking about his Marlene.
Oh yeah,
his cry of Marlene hits me in a part of my soul that like I don't use very often.
That's family. That is loss of a child. That is pure loss. That the older people are, the more they relate.
And it is for his entire team. It's Biggs
and Cloud's like, I never even got to eat Jesse's pizza.
I'd eat Jesse's pizza.
I missed.
No. But then when he finds out that Marlene's alive and that Aerith saved her, it becomes all the more clear that he's like, well, now I have like a life debt that I have to fulfill. Like, fuck Avalanche for a while. We're gonna save Aerith because it's the only thing that matters now.
I like his line to Cloud. He's like, tell me there's a chance. Just tell me that she might be alive. I won't get mad if you're wrong. I promise. Maybe I will. Shit. And he's starts freaking out.
Give me a reason to be here.
Yeah, give me a reason to be hopeful. And so this happens with chapter 13, but chapter 14, you bring Wedge back to Aerith's house, and this is when you get the optional extra scene. If you've been nicer to Aerith, Aerith's like spirit shows up and talks about don't fall in love with me.
That was strange.
It was a weird.
Well, that's weird because she's kidnapped. But
But she can just like project herself now. Whatever, it's fine.
I mean, and then you have Tifa who is crying and she's like, "This is wrong. This is our fault,"
which is still out of her character.
I don't think so.
I think she's just sorting through a lot of stuff, and she feels responsible for a lot of what happened.
I actually find her to be a very throughout the entire game, I would argue that Tifa is the emotional core of the entire group.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is kind of shut off in their own way, but Tifa's always kind of just like, there's a real maternal aspect to her that I find.
Sure.
Like, that's the part where I actually think that they got her right. Like, she's very caring. She doesn't even treat Marlene that much like a kid, but has like that still like
umbrella.
We're still like, we're hanging out and we're doing this, but I'm still not going to treat you like a little asshole.
It's more big sis-ish.
Yeah.
I will say, to me, my favorite scene is the one with Barrett, which is the toughest to get. And not even joking.
I know.
Go on a date with him?
Well, it's not a date. You have a scene in Aerith's flower garden where you're just with another character, but it's one of the first scenes where Barrett takes his sunglasses off, and you can just see he's like super lost and trying to like figure out where he's supposed to be. He's talking about all of his friends that are probably dead and what they mean to him.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where him and Cloud like realize like, you're okay. And I don't know. Maybe it's just my love for John Eric Bentley. Maybe and just the fact that Barrett takes his sunglasses off and you see so much more of the human side instead of like that I'm putting on a show.
But that's also like a well-earned moment between the two of those characters because they constantly and regularly butt heads. Not to the point where they're adversary, but they do often get in each other's faces.
The ice is melting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean that's just a satisfying character growth.
Which also links up very well to the original game. Around this time, even Barrett was like, you've stuck
You're
with us.
still an asshole.
You're still an asshole, but you've stuck with us. And there's like
there's an understanding.
He's such a mercenary person. He's a soldier at arms. And he's always just like, if you're a part of this cause, like I'm going to treat you like my brother anyway. So I found it very affecting, that flower scene specifically. And then them all deciding that they were going to go, and Elmira being like kind of like at the same time, like this was always going to happen. But wow, she made a bunch of cool friends. And she kind of gets like teary eyed. That part fucking got me. That part was cool.
You fight a Tonberry. Betty makes you play music in Wall Market. A doctor asks you to...
Tonberry part is so funny.
Well, we don't have time for all this.
I know we don't.
A doctor makes you fight a behemoth in an underground lab to make medicine.
I did it.
There's a tomboy bandit named Kyrie from a novella. You find out her grandma is the guardian angel. Wow. Corneo's got a secret stash, ruby, diamond, and emerald tiaras. You get them from 3 different spots. They're modeled after the tiaras. If you look at the items, they're modeled after the ultimate weapons from the game, which is really cool.
Sure. Neat. Which we won't see for 4 more games.
And you find Johnny's stolen wallet. He can get out of town. Leslie makes you go underground and fight Abzu Shotes and see Corneo one more time. Then eventually he gives you grappling guns, which you've already fucking had, but these are different, I guess.
Yeah.
Chapter 15, the day Midgar stood still. You climb up a bunch of shit, and you fight the Valkyrie, which was originally a different boss in a different time, but it's really cool. There's not a lot of story beats there.
I did like the level design of it, though, just because it felt... I don't know. Maybe it was just the spectacle.
No,
of
I hear
all.
it. That was a cool set piece.
Climbing up a collapsed, destroyed.
I did like that a lot as well, and it stands out for me.
It was a megalopolis that fell apart, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's like Magic Sword. Just climb that tower.
All right, so we have about 15 minutes for 16, 17, and 18 Shinra Tower.
Oh boy.
Man.
Which we can summarize pretty well. Yeah. You get to the fucking top.
You go through the parking garage. Tifa does some handlebar bullshit. She does the monkey bars.
Red 13 is a good boy.
It's at this point in the game where
we got it.
Ancient alien that fell to Earth a long time ago.
Wait, there's a great scene where they're explaining what Genova is, and Pear's like, I don't give a fuck about any of that shit.
And I was thank you, Barrett, for expressing everybody's.
We all are.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. Once I got to this point in the game, I stopped playing for probably 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a slog. When you kind of know what's going to happen, what is the point? Like, and I know it's going to be long too, because every other story point that I've played previously in the original game, it feels like I'm like okay, they're gonna pad this shit out too, and I didn't know if I had the patience for it.
So
it turned out to be fine, but I also don't think it was great either.
This is the end game, but it takes up a large portion of the game.
It's big. It's almost like a quarter,
to the point where you get to this part and it says, make sure you clean up all your side quests you want to do, because this is it.
They actually give you that tease like 2 times too.
Yes,
they've done it twice. Yeah,
but. Leading up to Hojo's lab and Red 13 is mostly there's no combat. It's just a lot of story beats and just a lot of like world building,
puzzle-ish things.
There's a few good moments where Hojo that you spy in a meeting where Hojo talks about we should try crossbreeding Aerith with somebody with the S and G variants, which I'm like, I've been playing too much Resident Evil lately. I'm getting my T viruses is mixed up with my G variants or whatever, but and so he wants like this is much better than
Sephiroth to bang.
Well, this is much more interesting. The original one is like, let's have the rat dog banger. Instead, he's just like, we should have somebody who has Genova cells in some capacity reproduce so it can be prolonged. They really stress the fact that they're looking for a promised land to make Neo Midgar, which is something that I think they will achieve somewhat in this series, since that they're
think so?
Now that they're diverging from the beaten path.
I think Sephiroth's not. I think Sephiroth isn't going to be as much of a force in this one, and I think Shinra is going to be much more of an actual
that's so exciting
entity, which is actually really interesting. But I also think I think there are like contingencies, and I also think like this kind of like side Sephiroth, like this Sephiroth from another universe, is going to become kind of.
Maybe a
half
another player.
I'm going to be honest with you, a half mentor to Cloud.
Oh,
as he always kind of was.
I'm so in on that.
I actually think that's going to happen. So
Hojo is about to tell Cloud, because he recognizes him. He's about to say, "You are the guy from the lab in Nibelheim." But the Whispers show up and take him away.
Bye.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm running away.
That was the exact motion. Yep.
And really, I just imagine Hojo would laugh the whole time. It's like, I can study these things.
Yeah.
There's no way he was pumped about finding out.
Well, do you think he can see him?
thing.
Do you think he can see him, or do you think it was just a big gust of wind?
He touched him.
Well, he will see them if he hasn't yet. But so that's all pretty straightforward, most of it. But Chapter 17, Deliverance from Chaos, Hojo has set up a fucking series of Saw-based labs, like from the movie Saw. Try this experiment.
Now I'm letting out this bioengineered weapon.
No, boring.
I thought most of this was pretty boring. Other
than the fact that you had a great boy.
Red 13, who I for a long time I tried
I want him to be a party member so bad, and it hurts my soul.
They've been able to mod it to where you can control him. Like, he does have attacks that they were able to like kind of see, but I spent a long time trying to convince myself to only call him Nanaki, but he wants to be called Red 13, or he doesn't say his own name, so I'm trying to stick to Red 13. But it's interesting that he comes off
you are adorable.
as an aggressive.
That's cute.
I tried really hard, guys.
Well, he's aggressive, and then Aerith gives him a moment where she touches him, and then he is able to also.
I think he knows everything.
He explains it at the end that he knows more now.
Yeah.
So we have another wonderful thing. Barrett's relationship with Red 13 is my favorite. Because they try and relate to each other.
Because they're the best boys.
He like reaches for a high five from him after moving something, and Red 13 slaps him with his fire tail. I'm like, what do you think was going to happen? I don't know.
Red 13's voice actor is so good in this.
Yeah.
Like it's so spot on.
And with not many lines, he leaves a big impression.
My favorite.
Yep.
Yeah.
That has no correlation on him showing up on this show at all. It is purely because he is amazing.
He's right behind you, by the way.
There you are. You finally got your Make-A-Wish, Nick.
Yes.
I would just hug him.
Yeah, I know.
I would cuddle. That is my
He'd
first
hug
move.
back. Or maybe...
He'd give you a bump.
Everything in Hojo's lab is not super great. The Sword of Pete's cool, but you essentially have to switch parties and not much happens there. You do see Sephiroth and you do see Genova. And Sephiroth takes part of Genova, even though it isn't Sephiroth, and it's a hooded figure who is this is one of the many forms, but
I like the Nightmare Weaver fight. I thought that was cool.
Honestly. But before this happens, though, you get up to the executive suite. The president's hanging off a building. Barrett, you had so many opportunities to kill this guy, and you let him get up, run to his desk, and grab a gun. Barrett, you didn't deliver there, you know?
There is a different style. Like, this is still just another example of Japanese storytelling where the drama means more than
the logic.
No, but that's true. It always has been. Like, if you watch an anime, sometimes you're like,
it's just writing.
Well, sometimes no, but sometimes when you're watching like like an American show or like from the UK, you're just like, oh, and then he blows his head off, and you're just like, oh, well, that's the end of the character. So they write around that idea.
He's holding his hand off there, and he flips him around. He's holding him by the neck, throws him up, lets him. He's like, I'm gonna scare you, and then he's
Batmaning it.
Well, because he wanted him to make a confession, but President Shinra is an evil dick, and then Sephiroth stabs him, and then Sephiroth stabs Barrett.
Stephanie Roth?
Steffi Roth.
Steffi Roth. That's Steffi Roth. The gender bender version of it.
Sephiroth with a bow. But stabs Barrett. I remember being very surprised when Barrett gets stabbed.
That was a little bit of a shocker. I'm like, oh, here we go. Shit's changing now.
The fact that the Whispers literally bring him back to life is probably the most important aspect of the story I had seen so far. I'm like, mostly they're just kind of rabble-rousers, like Scooby-Doo villains. And then I was like, oh, these things have like a course that they have to find out.
It absolutely establishes that they control the flow of life and death, and once they are taken out, life and death is no longer dictated anymore. So this Bear specifically, I think, gets stabbed and brought back to establish that Aerith's death is now in the air for the sequence.
Right.
It's in the air, but it's also not.
But also it's not.
It's also not, but I think you might have
she's not going to die.
Well, regardless,
I don't think so either.
Whatever happens, though,
if she doesn't die, I'm out. Like,
are you serious?
Yeah, like for me,
no, they're gonna change. They're gonna.
That's where Tom's ignition is like. He needs that.
He's only half revved.
Honestly, I genuinely think that Tifa is more up to debate than Aerith.
I think you might.
I think that there is another character.
I think they're playing with us, but I do think the Aerith.
I don't think Aerith. I don't know. I don't think Aerith's going to die in this one.
I don't either.
Because if you even follow the logic of like storytelling, then it's literally just going to be a situation where she gets saved, something weird and crazier happens, because you can't just ramp up to the same thing, because this game is entirely about breaking that.
It's loss. The theme of this game is loss.
I get you, and I do kind of subscribe to that maybe they will do the rope-a-dope.
They'll pull the rope-a-dope,
but at the same time, I think they'll play with it. Maybe she doesn't die, in Calm or whatever, the same way.
Maybe she dies later than even the first time it happened. I think that's possible.
But I think
she sacrifices for a greater good, because even in the other game, she basically just becomes the Jesus.
It's already being teased.
I know. It's being teased, but teasing is not the same thing as providing, because the teasing is based off of a meta narrative you already had in your head.
Of course.
You know what this character's been through already. So bringing it back, you've got to, like, it's just like, if they didn't tease it, they'd be being stupid.
It's not a payoff, though.
There's no payoff. They don't want there to be a payoff because they know you've played the other game.
I hate that.
Are we still talking?
They still want to play fan service.
No, I understand, but now they're dealing.
They can't go too crazy bad shit with it.
Are we still talking? We're still talking about Roche, right?
No.
Yes.
My closing argument on this is that once they have truly delved into a meta narrative where now they are playing with audience expectations and emotions that normally would not occur. It's like whenever you see a remake of a movie like RoboCop or something like that, they always have nods and shit like that.
There's so many whispers in the new remake of RoboCop.
Oh, so many Michael Keaton.
But the fact that this is an actual the fact that they recognize what came before. The fact that they recognize what came before, but they're telling the same story but in a different timeline, it really just means that they're kind of just it's the Wild West. They're allowed to fucking shoot whoever they want.
Yeah, maybe there's multiple universes. Aerith lives in one. Aerith dies.
Yep, exactly. And maybe we're in the living one now.
But she's going to die.
We're almost there.
Take it to the bank.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
Doggies After Dark.
No, we're almost all this stuff, but some still normal things happen.
I'm very passionate about this part of the game for no reason.
You fight the Genova Dreamweaver, which that doesn't have a lot of implications.
Sorry.
Come on, keep going. Come on.
This is I was waiting for you, Tom.
I was in on it too.
We all shut up. You could have done it.
Literally, the world stopped for you, Tom.
First time this house has been silent since we got here.
Sephiroth's tattooed number 49 drops with whatever it was after the battle. Then you fight Rufus and Darkstar as Cloud, and the rest of the team goes down. Tifa ends up saving Cloud from falling and coming back up. Wedge is sneaking around, and the Whispers attack him. Sounds like he was thrown from the window, but it's off screen, which means we don't know.
Which means he's not dead.
There is a boss fight with the Arsenal, which I think is really great because it's Barrett and Aerith and then an unplayable Red 13, which is a pretty fun boss fight in the lobby. Cloud rides in on his motorcycle and the music bumps.
Yo. Honestly, this was one of my favorite scenes in the game because I did not think they were going to do very specifically
many
scene
callbacks
of him busting into a lobby on a motorcycle and just wrecking everybody.
This is actually the part where I felt true nostalgia.
Yeah. It was totally one of those moments where I was like, yeah.
I was indulgent.
All of it.
Yep.
And
they're all getting in the truck, and I'm just kind of like,
no notes.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's a great moment where Heidegger, they're about to leave the lobby, and Heidegger shows up and traps them, and they're like, "Who are you?" And Barrett goes, "Avalanche," and she's like, "Local florist."
Yes.
And Red 13 says, "Lab rat dog."
Lab rat dog.
Yes. And it's great.
And then you hear,
and
local florist.
There's there's the last one, this soldier just shaking, and Cloud throws his sword, and it's breaks the glass behind him, and then they jump through it, and he catches the sword in the air. I was like, oh shit, he's so cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah. It's just
and then all of
it was,
and then all of this energy goes into what I think most of you are disappointed in, and it's the mini button.
Oh, I hated that. Yep.
Chapter 18, Destiny's Crossroad.
I liked Destiny's Crossroad.
Well,
battle.
I like that. Barrett tells Red to smile, and then Red smiles at him, and he's like,
and it's so ugly.
Like a growl.
I don't know if you should, actually. It is established that Rufus can see the Whispers, but not Seng. Then the motorcycle chase, and which you guys don't sound like you're hot on.
No.
Not really. I thought that's another segment that
I thought it was bad in the original.
I didn't hate the motorcycle segments. I just felt like they were overblown and they didn't bring anything to the game.
Yeah,
it was tacked on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's fun.
Well, in the era,
Brad, you liked it.
Hold on.
I liked it.
Here's what I'll say: in the early era of these 3D video games, a lot of it was bombast of what you could achieve with the technology that you had, and some of it was legitimately tacked on because it was just if we give the person more,
a tech demo,
But back then, you would be even the consumer would be so much more impressed with what you were actually giving them.
Yes.
So the more you had,
and it's a snowboarding game,
right? Exactly.
And a motorcycle driving.
Yeah. To hit the buttons at the same time, you get Whack-a-Box.
Exactly. So when it came to
Whack-a-Box is a mobile game is going to suck.
Whack-a-Box.
Whack-a-Box is a mobile game is going to be very
dude.
bad.
Right up until
if I ever win the lottery,
DLC,
Tom, I'm going to hire you to help me
going
make
to
Whack-a-Box.
I'm there for you, man.
Okay.
Auto whack-a-boxes for $10.
It's like a casino game. You just whack the boxes and just slam the button.
Well, there are tap games. They literally exist.
Yeah,
But like, clicky cookies.
There's a bicycle mini game we don't like. Red 13's funny.
Thank God.
Barrett shoots stuff.
Yeah. And then
These things happen.
And then we get to climax.
Well, Aerith explains there's no turning back. If we go through here, this will change our lives after this. And
This bitch just needs to explain things a little.
This is a statement to the gamer that we are moving into
new territory.
a story that has yet to be told.
brace yourselves. You're going to be in for some wild shit.
My boyfriend still might be alive.
Beginning at the beginning of the next game, we will be telling a new story.
It's like, imagine you're playing a video game and the character turns to you like, this is the end of the game. Things are going to be different after we fight the final boss.
You played this 25 years ago.
Well, it's almost like in Dragon Age, like, if you want to access this part, pay money for this DLC.
Right, yeah.
It's you're going to buy the part 2 when this game comes out because it's different this time.
Yeah.
It's very explicit, but you oh man, because this is when I started really worrying about the game, because the whispers surround Midgar Tower, and you go through a portal which Aerith can just like summon now, which I'm like, whatever. But the first thing that happens when you go through the portal, it looks normal. All the party is sucked away. And at one point, you are Cloud floating over Midgar. And there's whispers everywhere. And I'm like, this is just Kingdom Hearts. And I was very upset about it. I was not okay that this is where the game was going.
This is the point where I was actually like,
out?
I was in. This is the point where I got in. This is immediately where I'm like, well, they haven't really impressed me that much till now. I'm like, okay, I literally expected the scene where they get to the end of the highway and they're all looking out and they're like, where's the next place we have to go? Well, we're going to find Sephiroth. We're all with you. Congratulations, Cloud. We're your friends now. I expected that. The fact that they did this, I was kind of just like, all right, now I'm back in. Fine, whatever.
Well, because it's out there. And I just didn't want another sequence of Sora floating over something, swimming around to fight a giant floating darkness.
Oh, the Peter Pan segments?
And, well, then you get to the part where you're seeing the Whisper Harbinger.
Yes.
Which looks like, what is it, Darkseid or whatever the first boss from Kingdom Hearts is?
Yeah. It does literally
just a big dude made out of like black tendrils.
Honestly, I don't even remember what it looks like. Yeah, another amorphous.
I don't remember what it looks like.
Just a fucking shadow.
Yeah,
and
I don't remember it.
Well, and Red 13 kind of explains like this is a harbinger of fate. This is something that is controlling the flow of destiny, and if it's destroyed, nothing is predictable anymore.
Well, hold on, this is a part where I was kind of just still like, where's all this knowledge coming from? I know that Red 13
he got touched by Aerith.
It purely comes from that, and it has to.
But
Otherwise,
he also
it doesn't
knows.
make
Okay,
sense.
so when you encounter a new thing in your life, are you immediately like, yes,
no,
now I can describe this eloquently?
I don't know what
it's
being
like,
open to the universe.
It's
is
like
he explains it quite well, though.
It's like
his exposition is on.
Imagine
point.
if someone touched you and you saw like a hangover in 2 weeks, and you're like, I can't drink that night.
Well, I would know that my fate is in Destiny's already.
Doom.
Well,
Doom.
you know what's interesting is that they're fighting.
I would want to drink that.
They're fighting these the
Don't tell me how to
Whisper.
live my life.
They're fighting the Whisper Harbinger, and they're getting like transmitted flashes of one of them is Red 13 running with his like kids.
Yeah,
and they're like, "What was that?" They're like, "It's the future. If we don't stop him now," and everyone's like, "We got to stop him." I'm like, "Whoa, that was just me with my kids."
That's actually kind of cool.
I was excited about this. I didn't know there was.
Okay
We looked
with
happy.
that.
yeah.
There's another
That means I
woman.
was fucking.
And then you also see like some stuff from Advent Children. And what's interesting is
The stuff from Advent Children was the most intriguing.
Well, so you know what's interesting? Whisper Harbinger is the big floaty boy. And then you have the three ones, Whisper Rubrum, Viridi, and Croceo.
Kadaj.
Well, yes. So
they look like them.
Yeah, they're.
It is confirmed.
Oh, really?
Yes. So these three whispers, one of them uses like fists, one uses a sword, one uses a gun.
What are you talking about?
The Advent Children movie.
The three bad guys from Advent Children, the film.
Okay.
So Whisper Crochet, however you want to say it, has a move called Velvet Nightmare, which is the name of Yazu's gun.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's confirmed because if you assess, they're future entities trying to like preserve the timeline that came back. So, because I think Nomura realized we can't use them because they don't exist yet. But like we can use Weiss because he's still underground,
and it's also winky winky, beep, 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 beep.
And we can use Gax.
Also, they're not gonna get to use these characters otherwise.
Yeah, if the same future doesn't occur, then yeah.
So you fight the Harbingers of Fate, who eventually turn into a Whisper Bahamut, whatever you want to say.
That part was cool. There were some weird, almost like pseudo, button presses. I'm sorry, quick time, QTEs.
Yeah.
Thank you,
STD.
And I was just like, at that point, I'm like, I get where it's going. I fucking understand, but I'm also just kind of like, that's kind of lazy. I'm not a huge QTE person unless it's like a pure action game.
Okay, but Sephiroth then shows up. That's all the time we have for this episode of Raw Dogs, everybody. If you want to hear the Sephiroth discussion, we're not going
to say how it ends?
Ooh, it's a cliffhanger.
Okay, you fight Sephiroth, and then he may or may not be one of four different Sephiroths. There's a Zack Fair who might be from an alternate timeline because of a different stamp dog.
Or he's already been... Okay, we'll talk about it next time.
Well, see, we can't open this can of worms. We don't have enough time.
Well, people have to listen to Doggies After Dark.
Well, no, we'll just call it Raw Dogs 3, Doggies After Dark 7.
Remake.
The remake.
That's perfect.
Remake Intergrade.
Crisis Core.
Remake Interplay.
Oh, God.
Remake 4-play.
Oh,
7-play.
7-play.
I still like Mako-ful boyfriends. If you want to use it,
That's actually pretty good. Yeah.
What is it?
Mako-ful boyfriend.
After Hato full boyfriend. Yeah, that's funny.
We might just wind up calling it Raw Dogs FF7 Remake Part 3, but it'll never be released except for Doggies After Dark. It won't be. It might be like it won't be like another half an hour, but we have a decent amount to discuss. But thank you everybody for tuning in. We're gonna just discuss.
Thank you.
The very end of the game briefly for like another half an hour in our Doggies After Dark Part 3 Raw Dogs Inner 7.
Please tune in.
Mako Yo Boyfriends.
It's going crazy.
You can find us on Patreon. Hair the Dogcast, one word. We're on Facebook and Instagram, Hair the Dogcast. Twitter, Hot Dogcast. John Eric, if you're listening, we love you.
I hope he is. I didn't actually sit in on the interview with you guys, but he seemed absolutely delightful.
If you want the rest of our discussion, it will be, I guess, locked behind Patreon because we don't have more than a half an hour to talk, and that's Doggies After Dark material.
If you want to hear it, otherwise,
trust me, follow us to the Patreon exclusive material right now.
I scared your cat.
This has been Kadaj.
I'm Luzu. Like
D'Artagnan.
All for one.
One for all.
Okay.
Dilly dally, shilly shally.
Oh man.
Here's the beers and really nice rears.
There you go.
We still have questions from fans. All right.
Tits and ass, no one rides for
We love you. Bye bye.
Dilly dally, shilly shally. Dilly dally, shilly shally.
Dilly dally, shilly shally. Isn't it time you did the forgiving?
Maybe I lost some weight. All that dilly dally.